guys, Michelle Visser here, author and host of the Symbol Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. And today we're talking about one of my favorite treats when it comes to preserving food. I learned to preserve vegetables by fermenting them many years ago. And some of them I'm not so crazy about, some I really love. Cherry tomatoes fermented, so good. But I then discovered that fermenting fruit is something I love even more. This is what I did last night. I fermented some peaches. I'm going to take you along and show you exactly how I did this, and then stick with me till the end because we're going to go over how I eat these, how I use them, and I'm going to show you some extra cool facts about fermented peaches. Also, check out the description if you want to know more about preserving food the easy way. Preserving food that is my absolute favorite way to do it. As much as I love fermenting, there's a lot of food I would not want to preserve by fermenting. Plus, I'd run out of refrigerator space. I do store most of my ferments in my fridge. Instead, my favorite way to preserve food, by the way, it's not canning. I hate canning. I hate being over the hot stove for hours. I hate the pressure canner. I hate dealing with all those jars. I just don't like canning, but I love dehydrating. I just released a masterclass that I put together. All the tips and tricks that will make it streamlined. It will make it your favorite way to preserve food as well. You don't even need a dehydrator, guys. It's called Dehydrating Academy. And check out the description because it's brand new, because I'm super excited, and because I love you guys. I have a discount code for you to check out. My favorite way to preserve food and be an expert at it in almost no time flat. So definitely check out the description. Now, join me in my kitchen last night and we're gonna ferment some peaches. So here I am doing unusual things, way too late, but I'm going to weigh. First of all, I want to tear my bowl. Okay, I'm going to first of all weigh my peaches so that I know how much salt to use. And I have another cup over here. Okay. So now I need to multiply this weight by 0.02 because I want a 2% brine. And once we get all of the salt on, I only use Redmond real salt for my ferments. It's super important that you use a totally unrefined salt. If you use a standard table salt, you're going to have extra added chemicals and ingredients in there that are going to cause your ferment to not ferment correctly and give an off taste to your food. So definitely see the description for the link and discount code on the only salt that I will ever use when I ferment food. We're going to add the sugar. Fruit is unique with fermenting. When you're doing vegetables, you just add the salt to the brine, but with fruit, you want to add sugar as well. So for this amount of peaches, I need 6 tablespoons of sugar. We'll just stir this up, and we're going to let it sit here for about 20 minutes. I am going to cover it. You can already see, wow, in just a minute, not even, all the juices that are already developing. We might not need to add any water to the top of this. We'll see. I'm going to cover this with a plate just to keep any bugs and fruit flies out. When you're fermenting fruit, it's super important that you have a live culture that you're adding to your fruit. I make kombucha, so I'm going to get a glass of kombucha and take 6 tablespoons of that. You have to use the first ferment, not the second ferment, and add it to my peaches. But if you make cheese, you can use whey. If you make water kefir, you can use that liquid. Or you also can certainly buy a ferment starter. I will link to a really good one in the description. I need 6 tablespoons, so I'm gonna try and guess that. We'll measure it out. Okay, let's take our lid off. Look at all the liquid. Let's give it a stir. Let's measure out 6 tablespoons. Stir that up. Now we're going to get this in a jar. I wanted to show you, this is how I keep my fruit or my vegetables or whatever I'm fermenting under the brine. It can squeeze down to fit whatever amount of space you have in the jar. So if you don't have it all the way full, that's okay. Also, if it is quite full, this will guarantee that you're keeping it under the brine. And that's important because it's not going to ferment well. It's going to be susceptible to mold if it's not kept under the salty brine. And then you can put just a towel, piece of fabric over your jar to keep bugs out. But this kit comes with this lid that has holes, and then I need to get the top. It just has this little plastic insert that you stick in. And now the air can get in to let the good bacteria into your food to ferment it and make it super healthy for you, for a healthy gut, but it keeps the bugs out. You don't need a fancy ferment kit. You can use anything that you can concoct that's going to keep your food under the brine. Whatever you're using though, make sure you're sanitizing it. It's really clean because your ferment will be spoiled if you're using something that isn't sanitized. Okay, these are ready for use. Our peaches are ready. Got a jar. Look at this. They look wonderful. The fermenting process has already started. There's already some bubbles in there. I love it. I'm gonna taste this one. Such a good combination of sweet and salty. So good. Okay, let's get the spring in. Oh, it's going to bubble over. Don't want it to bubble over. I want to keep as much brine in there as I can. Okay, it's actually it's going to all fit. This is good. There's definitely no need to add any water. If this was not filled to the top, you could add water to make sure your food is staying down under the brine, but this is perfect. That's it, guys. It now sits on the counter. I'm going to leave it for at least a day, and then I will taste test it. And when it tastes exactly the way I want it, I'll take out my weight, or in this case, my springs. I'll put a regular lid on the top, not one that has holes in it, and I will put it in the refrigerator. I also, because this is fruit, will drain my brine and just put the fruit in the refrigerator. If it was a vegetable, you leave it in the brine, you store it in there in the refrigerator. But the fruit's gonna get mushy if you do that. So it's making me happy. So this is, like I said in the beginning, what they look like the next morning. You will see that they are dripping some because it will bubble up, which is a really good thing. The lactic acid builds up, it bubbles up, and it will overflow. So you always want to put a bowl underneath, or you might have a mess in the morning. Now, fruit is different than vegetables. Vegetables, you want to let it go at least 3 to 5 days before you even test them. You taste them, and when they taste just the way you want them, you can end your ferment. Would you guys like a video on my favorite fermented cherry tomatoes? Because I could do that. But for fruit, the ferment time is much faster. So right now it's been about 8 hours this has been fermenting. I'll probably let it go another 5, 6, 8 hours. And before night tonight, I will definitely taste test this. If it tastes the way I want it, I will take off my special ferment lid, which is letting the air in. I will put a regular lid on it, and after I strain off the brine, I'll close up with a regular lid and put it in the fridge. This is my brine from a previous batch, and I wanted to let you know, this is amazing to flavor kombucha. I definitely am going to do a video about that. Do you guys make kombucha? Are you interested in it? I love kombucha. It is so good for your gut, and it's so delicious. Peach and blueberry kombucha made with the brine from when I ferment the peaches and the blueberries. Some of my absolute favorite kombucha that I make. So don't get rid of your brine. You can also use it just in seltzer water. You could drizzle it over your yogurt to give it peach flavor. Lots of different ways you can use the brine, and it's so good for you. So don't toss the brine, but you do want to strain it before you put your peaches in the fridge. These are peaches that I fermented 3 or 4 days ago. And I took the brine off because otherwise they're going to get really super mushy. They don't need the brine while they're fermenting. The ferment will continue even though I've taken off my special lid. It will continue in the fridge, but at a very, very slow rate. In fact, these are peaches that I've had in my fridge for a year, and they are still really good. Let me show you. You will see that they're much browner than my new peaches, of course, because they've been oxidized some, and the air is, of course, impacting their color. But oh, I wish you could smell it. They're so good. Guys, if you like salty and sweet, you will love fermented fruit. And I promised I would tell you how I use them. I will use my fermented peaches. Mainly, my favorite way is on oatmeal or dry cereals, or I really like them in yogurt. Add some granola, some fermented fruit. So good. That's my favorite ways. But you really could use them anywhere that you would be putting some fresh peaches. You'll probably like the taste of the fermented peaches. I find it absolutely delicious, and I love it that it's so good for my gut. So there you have it. If you found this interesting or you learned something, I would absolutely love it if you leave me a comment. Let me know. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps so much. And absolutely, before you leave, check out the description of Dehydrating Academy. And don't miss that amazing discount, limited time special, because I'm so excited that it's just released. And like I said, guys, dehydrating tops fermenting even. It is my favorite way to preserve food. So that's it, guys. Thanks for joining me. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.